Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Vanessa. Welcome. Thank you all for tuning in. My message today is quite straightforward. Stop waiting for something to happen. Stop waiting for the person to come into your life, for the thing to happen, for the breakthrough, for whatever. Stop waiting, because sometimes we get so frustrated with something not happening or appearing not to happen. You know, there are things happening and strings being pulled without you even noticing. And then suddenly something shifts and you're like, oh, wow, I didn't expect that, right? So we are often drawn away from being present with what is happening in our life right now, what we can influence, what we have power over, so to say. And we're so distracted with what didn't happen in the past, what may not happen in the future. And we're so looking towards the future and waiting for something to happen, or looking into the past and ruminate in that happened, so you know that will happen again, and this is just how it is, this is just how life is. Snap out of it and just try out how it would be like if you were present right now, right here, and looked at what actually is today, here, in this moment happening. Your body, in what state is your body? I was going to say your body is healthy, but I don't know if your body is healthy, right? In what state is your mind? In what state are your emotions? In what state is your body? In what state is your house? In your apartment? In what state are your relationships? Yeah, because the right now we can influence. Even if you say, my body is not in a good shape health-wise, what is one thing you can do to make yourself feel better? And I don't mean, you know, open the ships back. No judgment there. I know these feelings. My number one coping mechanism has always been, ooh, let's get a dessert. Let's get, you know, some snacks. But we all know that this is not actually the best way to cope with what feels challenging in the moment. So just look at what you can influence right now. And again, that was no judgment. Everybody has their thing. If it may be, you know, something to eat, shopping, sex, alcohol, other drugs, you know, like everybody has some coping mechanism. And I understand and I know that it's difficult and a journey to change that mechanism and choose something else over what we used to do. But it is absolutely possible. Yeah. And I just want you to look, because often we're getting anxious or depressed because we're so identified with the past or with the future that already creates this emotional blueprint in our body that just tells us again and again and again, oh, everything is bad, everything is bad, everything is bad, everything is bad, or oh, I'm anxious, it's not going to get better, or I don't know what comes next, I don't know what comes next, instead of, ooh, I don't know what comes next, right? That's a different sensation. I don't know what comes next, and ooh, I don't know what comes next, let's see, you know. And this is like your body is actually addicted to the state that you have been in for a long time. So if you're always worried about what's going to happen in the future, about the unknown, then your body has been already so conditioned to worry about the future, but that all happens unconsciously. It all happens within your system without you even noticing that this is what's happening. Because not enough of us ask themselves, wait, I'm anxious about the future right now. Oh, why am I anxious about the future? That must mean that in the past, things in the future have been unknown. Yes, that's normal, right? Future is unknown. But that whatever comes is negative, so to say, or challenging or dangerous. Is that the truth? Ask yourself, is that the truth? And although that may have happened in the past, your past does not define your future if you dare to detach from it. Often we have a hard time detaching from a pattern because it in some way kept us safe. So you worrying, or there's a perceived safety, let's put it like that. So you worrying about the future must have a benefit, otherwise you wouldn't do it, right? It must give you a sensation of being prepared for something bad. But how prepared are you really? The only thing you're going to say is, I knew it. But you will still have the emotions come up if something difficult happens, right? So does it really help you to worry already? How does it help you? Just ask yourself. Because what happens if we constantly run worry through our system is that we are becoming worried people. We perceive ourselves as life is hard, life is dangerous, life is unpredictable, always negative things happen to me. This is how we start identifying ourselves as, consciously or unconsciously. But again, the future is not written in stone. So it's really important to actually distinguish between, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but how about I count on myself and I know that if I'm going to that with a positive attitude, that's probably going to support me more than with worry, right? Because again, even if negative things happen to you in the past, looking towards the future, and we all have had challenges. It's very human to have challenges in life. No matter how big or how small, we've all gone through it in some capacity, and they are all valid. And at the same time, what does it help you to hold on to that prediction? That may mean, you failed at some point with something, and now you're telling yourself, oh, I'm always going to fail. That's why I'm not even trying. What is that logic? Like, when you think about it, does that do anything for you? It does nothing for you to be with that logic. And it's just a mind, it's just a mental pattern. It's just a way that you may not even be aware of, you see the world. Yeah. So it's always really good to ask yourself, why am I worried? What does the worry do for me? Does the worry support me in any way? Does it really keep me safe, or does it just create perceived safety? But it actually, it takes me so much energy to worry and to control all the possible negative outcomes that could happen, that you actually end up holding yourself back because you don't have enough energy to be in the here and now and create something, or apply to the job, or change your location, or search for a new apartment, or whatever it is in your life, or have that conversation with somebody that's vulnerable. Yeah. Do you feel that this actually doesn't support you? There are so many of us out there who are taking action and having emotions and stories running through them that are so unsupportive, that are like self-deprecating. And I've been like that at some point in my life. And at some point I realized that doesn't help me. What does that do for me? And if I do that to myself, do I help anybody else with that? No, because by holding myself back, by, being everywhere else but in the present moment, like if I'm being with my family, if I'm being at work, and I'm just worrying about the future all the time and I'm not being present, my work isn't going to be as great as it could be if I would be fully invested and present. My family conversations and quality time spent will not be as memorable and as loving because I'm constantly somewhere else, trying to control and hold on to what hasn't even happened yet. I'm telling you, if you made it up until here, You are fully capable of handling anything that comes after today. Absolutely capable of handling everything that comes after today. Why? Because you've made it here. You've handled everything that came up to now. So you absolutely created a record of you having achieved stuff, of you having overcome challenges. Yeah? I want you to understand that it helps nobody if you're putting yourself down, if you're worrying without even a reason, if you are not being present in your life today, right now, right here. It helps nobody. And you're going to look back in 20 years and you're like, whoa, I wasn't really even there for this. I wasn't really present. And I have quite a few clients who have felt grief about not being present and not giving themselves the best shot and not allowing themselves to fail and get up again. Do you think anybody who is achieved or who has achieved greatness has not failed? Those people have failed more often than you can imagine, but they didn't let the failure, whatever failure even is, there's no failure, there's only trial and redirection. There is no failure. There is training. You're training for something. And even if right now it feels to you like, I want this moment to be here already. Yes, we all want this. We want it all to be here right now. But guess what? You don't decide about your timing. The only timing you can decide about is what happens right here, right now. Your decision is right here, right now, today. Are you going to call your mom and say happy birthday? Are you going to call your grandmother and say, hey, I wonder how you're doing? I love you. Are you going to call, make amends with somebody that you sort of need to have a conversation with? Are you going to call for that new job? Are you going to call your date? I don't know. Are you? Are you going to take some action in your own benefit or even, to show somebody else love? Because the only time you have to do it is in the present moment. And yes, I know tomorrow is another present moment, but I think we need to understand that all we have is the present moment, but at the same time, we need to be also aware of when we didn't choose to take advantage of the present moment. And again, I have many people I've worked with that had to grieve that they didn't show up for themselves, that they neglected their own desires and needs and dreams, that they didn't allow themselves to go for whatever they wanted to go for, that they overthought every little decision. Oh my God, maybe it's a good idea actually to challenge yourself to fail. Challenge yourself to fail and build your muscle of, kind of like feeling how it feels like to fail. Because once you allow yourself to build that muscle and allow yourself to fail and just accept that this is part of life, you will not be afraid to fail anymore, and you will just go with your ideas and have fun. Go for stuff that is fun without simply always being afraid of everything. And again, there's no problem in being afraid. We all are afraid sometimes. And sometimes fear shows you what you have to lose, how deeply you love something or someone, how passionate you are, what a big shift that would be, and how much you would grow in this journey if you would go for something. And so fear is not a negative thing. Yeah, there's helpful fear, and then there's fear that doesn't do anything for you. And that fear is more like the holding back fear, the I think I'm not good enough fear, the I think I'm too much fear. Yeah, and that fear is connected to wounds that we all hold within ourselves. Yeah, I talk about this all the time, the wounds that we carry. So when you're afraid and you're trying something new, or you're going for your dreams, or you're starting something that you've never, dared to do before even, and you're like, okay, I'm going to do it. Yeah, then take the fear by the hand and say, you know what, I'm scared, I'm afraid, and I'm gonna do it anyway. And sometimes it's also about, that's similar to what I talked about yesterday in the video. If you haven't seen it, go have a look. Sometimes it's not the time to push ourselves, and you need to understand when is the time. Because sometimes it's also important to realize, oh, I'm afraid, and then sit with that fear. And usually what comes in this fear moment, if we wanna not meet the fear, then we usually go to our coping. So we may eat something, we may distract ourselves with media, social media, we may go shopping, we may do whatever is your drug, quote unquote. Yeah. And so notice when you feel like, oh, I need something now. Yeah. Because that's your cue to sit yourself down. Maybe close your eyes if it feels safe, or just lower your gaze, take a few deep breaths, and just notice what, where is the emotion that you're trying not to feel, that you're trying to numb or suppress or distract yourself from. And then sit with that emotion. And maybe you can even notice where in your body you feel that emotion. Maybe it's in your heart, in your throat, in your belly, wherever it is. And then just imagine to send a few deep breaths into that place and see if you can open up to the emotion of fear. Open up to the emotion of fear and just see, what is the fear actually about? Yeah? And sort of have like an inner conversation with yourself where you get really honest, because that really helps. When we are getting really honest with ourselves about, wait, what am I actually feeling right now? Why do I want to procrastinate? What feels overwhelming? Then we are getting back in charge, right? And we're doing it lovingly by sitting with what you feel instead of judging yourself or pushing yourself. Yeah, it's more supportive and it creates unity within you rather than separation when you allow yourself to feel whatever is going on below. And I know in the beginning that can feel confronting, it can feel really uncomfortable, but it is super powerful tool to learn that for life. Like, if you should learn something in school, it's definitely to notice how you feel and what is going on for you, and then sit with that, like with that fear. Yeah. And on the other side of this is also, if we're constantly focused on the past of what happened, and we're holding on to that, it's the same principle, right? Just instead of, looking to the future, we are constantly still identified with the past of what happened to me. And don't get me wrong, what happened to you is valid. And if you stay stuck in, this is what happened to me, then it's going to hold you back from moving forward and making an impact with yourself and with a greater cause, for example. Yeah. And it also gonna take you away from the present moment where you are actually capable of taking action, right? Like we just said. So also look at, where am I so attached to the past? I'm gonna give you a really personal example. I was just visiting my family for my grandmother's birthday, and I love my mom, but sometimes I still have like old triggers come up from childhood, from my teens, where we had a really difficult relationship. And I've noticed the other day that I felt a little bit activated and I wasn't really sure why. And the way that, she said things and did things kind of like triggered me a little bit. And I was getting curious about it, and I was like, this is really interesting. I feel a bit triggered right now. I wonder if I would feel triggered if one of my friends would say the same thing as my mom just said or did. And I realized, no, I wouldn't. And why? Because I don't have the sort of heavy history with them as I do with my mom. And I realized, whoa, okay, actually let me take off the conditioned glasses, the glasses that say you hurt me, I didn't feel safe with you, and all these kind of things. And when I took off the glasses, I realized, wow, she's actually being really thoughtful and really nice and funny. And that made me realize, wow, Vanessa, you've been holding on to this thing, this particular thing in the past. And why have you been holding on to it? Because it felt safer to hold on to that pain, that memory, as a way to protect myself from getting hurt again if, for whatever reason, there would be something similar coming up. That would make me feel safer or prepared to deal with it. Now, I had to ask myself, is that the truth? Would that make me feel safer or prepared for it? And I realized, no, not at all. Not at all. What would that help me? On the contrary, I'm an adult now, and I am capable of communicating my boundaries in a gracious and kind way. I am capable of saying, you know what, that feels overwhelming to me right now. I'm gonna take a walk, or I'm going to leave early. I'm gonna be able to communicate whatever I need to communicate and protect myself in whatever way I need to, because I'm an adult and I'm capable of taking care of myself. So that really helped me let go that bit of baggage that I was holding on to, like a bit of a grudge that I was holding on to. And suddenly I could see my mom in a different light and with more lightness, right? I wasn't holding on with my left hand to this old topic that really hurt me in childhood. I could let it go and also decide to trust myself to handle the situation with all that I am now, and also give my mom a benefit of the doubt to trust her again, and trust that she has her best interest at heart, even though she may not always be able to show it or communicate it in the way that I need it. And I am capable of dealing with that. So this is just one example where I learned to, I wasn't aware that I was holding on to this thing from the past to keep me safe for the future. But actually it doesn't really do anything for us. Because when emotions arise, when a challenge arises, we're still gonna have to deal with it in the present moment, and emotions will come up. And it's not gonna help you to remember the moment in the past, because regulation happens in the present moment. So all you can do is take a few deep breaths and decide, what do I want to do now with this? How do I feel? What do I need right now? So it's really about seeing the present moment and, noticing, what can I do right now? What do I have the power to take action on, to take a decision on, to maybe change perspective on, to see what is happening right now? And when something is not here yet, and here we talk about a little bit about divine timing. If something isn't here yet, there's a reason for that. But you cannot find your why of maybe why is it not here yet when you're constantly focused on looking for the why, or looking for where is it outside of yourself. This is something that's happening within you. And then you can ask yourself, maybe closing your eyes and just checking in and saying, what am I not seeing in the present moment that I can take action on, improve, get clarity on, feel into, change perspective on, create, whatever it is for you. but what is accessible for you in the present moment. And that's what we need to focus on, because that's all we have. And this is how we use our time in a grateful way, I want to say, because many of us have this hard time to be grateful. And why? Because you're not aware of the present moment. You're not aware where you're at, what is happening. And if something hasn't turned out yet the way that you wanted to, then the only power lays in here and now. Again, I know I said this a few times during this video, but it feels like something really important. So what can you do today? If you want to have a boyfriend, a girlfriend, like a partner, if you want to have that new job or start that business, but like whatever it is that you want and it's not here yet, what can you do that goes into whatever you want? What can you do right now? And oftentimes it's not about purchasing something. Oftentimes it's not about spending money. Yeah, sometimes it may be, but maybe for you it's actually putting on your shoes and taking a walk. It may be cooking your own food instead of ordering it. It may be listening to your child or your partner while they are talking to you today. Yeah, this is how we improve relationships, being present, relationships outside of ourselves and within ourselves. So stop asking yourself, why is it not here yet? Or why am I not there yet? What can I do for me right now that actually makes me happy, and that, like, lets time go by like so rapidly, because I am, really passionate and engaged in my life. Most people that don't have the life that they want is because they are not present with what they have right now. So they are unable to be grateful for what they have right now, no matter how few or how much it may be. It doesn't matter. If you cannot be grateful for who you are today and what you have today, or have the realization around, whoa, I have just not been taking the action to create the life that I want to. Now is the moment to realize, and it is mostly, again, not about spending money or being famous or anything like that. It's mostly about, can I forgive myself about something? Can I be grateful for the sun shining today? Yeah, can you come back to the basics, to the here and now? Because that's what we are often afraid to face when we are so identified with the future or the past. I hope this video made sense for you. Please share with me below how you feel about being present, how you feel about the past and the future. The only power we have is now, and when we are changing our state right now, today, just making teeny tiny steps, letting ourselves feel how we feel, facing our emotions, facing where we are, who we are right now, that is everything. And then just doing this again when you wake up tomorrow, and again the day after. Yeah, what can I do today? What is available and accessible for me today? Alrighty, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and I see you tomorrow. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Ciao.